И зайдет солнце в полудне и померкнет на земле в день.
Теперь ты создашь меня.
A 700-year-old skeleton pierced through the chest with an iron rod, on display at Bulgaria's National History Museum. This was a pagan practice to ensure that those considered bad people could not return as vampires.
Archeological unearthings have found that Bulgaria is home to about 100 vampire burial sites. In the Balkans during the Middle Ages, vampire superstitions were spread far and wide and were widely feared. On account of these convictions, individuals sometimes took safeguards to protect themselves, even after someone's death.
To prevent suspected would-be vampires from turning into vampires, a group of brave men reopened the grave in the middle of the night and pierced the corpse with iron or wooden rods. An iron rod was used for richer vampires.
For the bodies of individuals who endured unusual and disturbing deaths, especially when it was by suicide, certain precautions were taken to ensure that their bodies would remain dead. In Perperikon, one man in his 40s was found to have an iron pole pounded into his chest to keep him from moving. In addition, his leg had been cut off and placed beside this body to immobilize him. The placement of the iron poles was done by pounding the plowshare into a broken shoulder, popping off one's collarbone in the process, as was done to this mystery man.
There's no evidence that vampires had longer teeth. Let's think logically. Would you really need longer fangs to drink blood from veins? Or could you do this with your own normal teeth?
However, different skeletons have been found with metal items lodged in their rib cages close to where their hearts ought to be, or even through the solar plexus, as another method to keep the dead, well, dead. Of course, the most famous vampire execution was to have a stake pounded through their chest and perhaps a clove of garlic around the gravesite.
2 such skeletons were found at a monastery near the Black Sea city of Sozopol. Archaeologists say these are the first vampire burials unearthed here, but more than 100 similar discoveries, mainly the remains of noblemen, have been found in other parts of Bulgaria.
This method was a superstitious way of restraining the dead from re-emerging as a demonic vampire intent on terrorizing the town. Another man who was deemed a vampire was Krivich, the savage leader of the Sozopol fortress, who was found with an iron bar puncturing his chest to keep him from threatening the town after his passing. Basically, if there were any place to find a real vampire in the world, this would be the place to go. But don't start packing yet, at least not until you finish the rest of this list, of course.